Hello everyone, welcome to the session Helping Hands in Education. My name is Heidi Wang. I'm in charge of the Ink division at Wacom. In Ink division, we are responsible for technology and experiences related to digital pen and ink. But that's not the topic today.
My name is Faik Karaoglu. I'm leading the branded business at Wacom, and today we are going to talk about education. We learned in the last years a lot of issues we have in the European education system. And with this, I think we are addressing and supporting here initiatives who are going to address this kind of things, especially if we are talking about ensuring equal opportunities for children.
We are happy today to present 5 very outstanding initiatives in education where the founders' initiatives really impress us with their personal commitment and passion. So please join us and enjoy their personal stories. Let's start with the first session. The next story is about Texthelp. When we talk about communication difficulties, we might imagine a child who is trying to communicate a new language, but it's actually much broader. So we are talking here about children, adults, who are affected by specific conditions. So Texthelp, the founder is Martin, is going to show with us how actually he's providing with his software a great support for these users.
We are happy to give the stage to Martin and to his company. The goal is very clear, supporting everyone's desire to learn independent of their learning needs.
So my name is Martin Mackay. I'm the CEO and founder of a business called Texthelp. We help people with text. We make software for people who find it difficult to understand text and find it difficult to write. So very often kids with dyslexia, kids who are working or learning in a second language, so anyone who has got low literacy. In fact, adults as well. We help adults in the workplace, but 80% of our business is focused on education. We help about 50 million kids we've reached so far, and we really want to grow that. We want to, over the next few years, to grow that to a few hundred million. In fact, we have got a moonshot. We want to try to reach 1 billion people in the world by 2030. The reason how I got into this is when I was 12 years old, my dad had a stroke, and it was a left brain stroke. He couldn't speak. He couldn't communicate. He couldn't write, he couldn't read. So he really had to start from scratch again. And it had a big impact on me. And I started out making software for people with stroke and cerebral palsy and motor neuron disease. Probably about 25 years ago, I was talking to a lady at a university in Scotland, and she told me that she had 1 student with cerebral palsy, but about 200 students at the university with dyslexia. So I started to work on a spell checker originally for dyslexia and some tools to read text out loud for kids who couldn't read. For those of you who aren't kind of fully up to speed on what dyslexia is, it affects probably 7, 8, 9% of the population. We all read and write and learn a little bit differently. And some people with dyslexia have difficulty turning written text into a sound and understanding what its meaning is, and they just find it difficult. Their comprehension tends to be low because of that. If you read the text out loud to them, they can read it fine. So it's not like they're not stupid by any means. They just have difficulty reading. And actually, about 15% of our product usage is outside of school hours. So there's a good amount of technology use where kids are using it at home as well. Whenever these kids leave school and go into the workplace, they don't leave dyslexia behind. So we're actually expanding our business to continue to serve people with dyslexia as adults in the workplace as well. One of the things that we try to do is take a universal design approach. So we originally designed this software for kids with dyslexia, but we find that in large school districts where it gets deployed to everyone, about 30% of the kids use it regularly. So it's really useful for kids who have English as a second language, and actually, to really even good readers who just want to listen to something on the school bus on the way home. Rather than reading it, they can just turn it into like an audio file and listen to it on the way home. We're all human beings, okay? And we all need to understand the world around us, and we need to be able to express, we need to be able to make ourselves understood. People need to understand us. And people who have difficulty with reading find the world difficult to understand, and that is really hard for them. So the first thing that we try to do is make the world easier to understand, and we do that by reading it out for them, anything that they see. So if they see a piece of complicated math on a page, they can take a photo with their smartphone and we'll read it out loud. We'll say x squared plus 2y, and we'll read the math out loud for them. The second thing is we help them express their knowledge and turn that knowledge into the teacher in a neat and tidy way. So dyslexic people really struggle with spelling and grammar as well to some extent. So we have developed a spell checker and a word prediction system so that kids can, type really easily. And all they need to do is get the first couple of letters of a word and we'll predict, the word that they probably wanted to write. A really good way to look at this is like my glasses, right? If I take my glasses off, I can't work. I cannot work. I could not be employed in my current job. And when I put my glasses on, I'm able to work. And it unlocks my potential. These glasses unlock my potential. And when we create assistive technology for young kids to help them with reading and writing and help them express their knowledge in math, it's really just like these glasses. It's just assistive technology of a different sort. And what we're trying to do is get the world to understand that it's perfectly normal. If I can wear these glasses, a kid can use some assistive technology to help them with reading and writing. It's just completely normal. That's what we're trying to get to.
This story is about Teach First Germany. I had the pleasure earlier this year to meet Ulf, the CEO of this NGO, Teach First Germany. We were at that time joining a session about evaluating the outcome of the ideas from a hackathon, a nationwide hackathon called Wir für Schule here in Germany. And from first moment, Ulf really impressed me with his commitment and passion for education. But let's enjoy his story.
My name is Ulf Matusiak and I'm the CEO of Teach First Deutschland. Teach First in Germany was founded in 2009. And overall, worldwide, we're 61 programs at the moment, and we're all very closely connected. So there's Teach for All, which is our global network, an umbrella organization that helps us to come together as 61 programs who are nationally working more or less on this, tackling the same problem, but also trying to learn from each other. Teach First is an organization that supports schools in low-income areas, so schools in neighborhoods where there's not a lot of money. And what we do is we go to universities and we try to recruit the best talent that we can find. And we offer them to join our program. And by joining the program, they work in those schools for 2 years. But they're also part of our community with a lot of leadership trainings that they get from us, a lot of support that they get. So they don't just go and work at schools. What they do is they join Teach First with the idea of making sure that the educational system in Germany over time becomes more just and more fair, especially to those kids who don't have a lot of money and resources at home. With all the experience they got in schools, later join other NGOs, or they become politicians, or they work in the educational area elsewhere, or some of them decide to become teachers. I think that Corona has changed the educational landscape worldwide, but also in Germany. A lot of difficulties that we see in our system have become more visible. And I do think it's one of the rare times in recent history where the whole globe was affected by an educational crisis, not just a health crisis, but also an education crisis. And we're more or less all suffering from it. It's not just a higher need for good training and good teaching, and good content. It's also a higher need for the nucleus of pedagogical work, which lies in the relationship of a teacher and a student. Because it's the question is, where is the human factor especially important? And I would say in the designing of your lesson, it is absolutely important. I would not say that, in the future, we probably won't teachers anymore. I don't believe in that. I think we will need teachers as designers of the educational process, and as the ones who coach and guide the students through their experience. I have a very optimistic view on the kids of nowadays. They are like a lot of things where I would say they can give us a lot of hope. Just see how they stand up for certain topics that are important to them. Say Fridays for Future. Like to me, that gives me hope. Where I feel like, you know, there's just no way that this generation will let go of this topic. And then with the students, and for us, that's the most important piece of the experience that we want them to have in schools, is to find out that even though things might sound different, look different here and there, like the kids that they're teaching have the very same potential and the same talent as any other kid elsewhere in the country. They just happen to come from families where there might not be as much money as elsewhere. And all we need to do is kind of show them or help them have the experience that they can go far, you know, that they can reach that bar if they try hard enough or often enough, or if, you know, they can do that. And that's and I think that if that works out, you know, it's magic on both sides.
If we look at his vision and the vision of his company, really to giving every child equal opportunities, no matter their social background, this is just a great approach in this case to drive the new way of education, including the tutors, and changing the mindset maybe for the future.
We would like to give the stage to Sifas and the initiative he found, which is called the Play Institute. Sifas worked for LEGO Innovation and Design for 12 years. And in all the work he does till today, he is inspired by his life with his sons. He says always projects pop up almost naturally for him constantly. His life story is remarkable, really, and can best describe by himself.
My name is Sifas Howard. I'm English born, but I live in Denmark, where I moved out here 15 years ago to work at LEGO, coming from the London media world to a kind of a very different world out here. So what I've founded is called the Play Institute. And for me, that was kind of a merging of that I very much wanted to stay in the field of play. But the institute part was actually that there's a lot of process and kind of and science and thinking to my approach and the way I think about things. It's not usually like toys like balls or kind of, which are all great too, but very much kind of about applying new technology and new methods and ways to basically bring play into new areas or new ways or taking it forward. And I do that for other companies in a range of things across like learning products, games, toys, video games, actually like also in workplace. Effectively, you can make anything more playful. And when it's more playful, it's more effective. It's more engaging, retention is better, motivation is better. One of my sons was diagnosed with ADHD and then also autism. And he's a very bright kid. Lovely boy, but he really struggled to read. He has a twin brother, and his twin brother was an excellent reader. So by the time they were 6, one of them had a reading age of 9, and one of them had a reading age of 3. So why was there such an advanced difference? And that began one of my explorations into how I could make a difference there, because I couldn't find the right materials myself. One of the things I encountered in this instance was that there are kind of different modalities of thinking. So some of us are more audio based, some of us prefer reading, writing, some of us are very visual, and also some of us are kind of kinesthetic, like we're hands-on learners. You know, give it to me, let me play with it, then I understand it. Yeah, so I started this like ABC approach, and one of the key things I was therefore, as I mentioned, looking to was about this kind of the different modalities of the left and the right brain and where these strengths lie. I could have used other tools, but like I said, very familiar with interconnecting bricks. The question was could I do it when I didn't have the physical bricks? And so that was kind of an experiment. And in the end, you can see here where I built these simple models, and then I showed the bricks that were used to build it. And the kinesthetic brain, when you actually build a set, you look at the picture and your brain goes, okay, that bit goes there, and then your hands mirror it. But you build it twice, once with your mind and once with your hands. And actually in the book, I could only allow you to do it with your mind, but actually it still triggers a lot of the same processing. Honestly, sometimes I'm shown these things that people kind of say, like, oh wow, we've made this, like now you can do like the most incredible things. I agree with you on one term, which is basically, you know, incredible things are possible via this tool. But I would argue that only if you have a PhD in engineering will you actually be able to achieve these things. There has to be usability and not just possibility. And the magic happens when the two collide, right? It's why, you know, Instagram was not born as Instagram. They were doing something else, and they uncovered, like, of all the things they were doing, like the picture sharing really worked. That was almost one of the most creative platforms in the world. That wasn't necessarily its purpose, but it allowed anybody to take a picture and make it more interesting, or to play with it. Right? Literally, that's what they were doing. Like, you play with filters. Some people will be doing Photoshop or other stuff, or, you know, buying themselves a nice Wacom tablet because they started there, because they started applying filters in Instagram and got hooked, right? And then they progress on. You need to build creative confidence in all that you do. And when you're going through the experience, when you're adding features or something, you say, okay, when I add this feature, does that help to build creative confidence, or does it become overwhelm and complexity that will actually reduce my creative confidence? We teach through fear instead of through play. And that's kind of one of my biggest challenges I always try to kind of fight against. But it's a huge uphill battle against hundreds of years of thinking. For me, I believe that fear is the enemy of play, as it were. It's like the opposite, that we grow so afraid that we are literally just too afraid to try anything new. And that's why I said, so for me, a lot of things are about kind of reducing fear and opening up a space. Everything I do tries to further that ability to engage a user or a person in an ability to be able to express themselves or kind of progress themselves through creativity, through problem solving, through play and experimentation.
Next story is about Easy Tutor. During the pandemic, many parents suddenly become in a situation to be the homeschooling teacher and tutor overnight, especially when we are listening or learning a lot of experience where they're struggling digitally. Easy Tutor, who is also one of our partner, has really the strong belief and vision, and we were impressed by their drive and desire to offer what is urgently needed in that situation.
With their value propositions and innovative approaches, they are addressing and coming with solutions for I would say, also the new way of teaching and education. For this, let's look on Jessica and Easy Tutor.
Easy Tutor ist eine moderne Online-Nachhilfeplattform für Schüler von der 1. Klasse bis zur Abschlussklasse, Studierende und Erwachsene, die sich gerne weiterbilden möchten. Die können sich dann bei uns über 1000 geprüften Tutoren durch ein intelligentes Matching-System einen Nachhilfelehrer aussuchen und ihn dann direkt bei uns auf der Homepage buchen. Bei uns erhält der Schüler eine individuelle Einzelnachhilfe, das Ganze absolut flexibel bei der Lehrer-, Fach- und Terminauswahl. Zusätzlich statten wir unsere Tutoren, unsere Schüler mit einem Wacom Grafiktablet aus. Und zusätzlich, was ich ganz toll finde, für eine optimale Unterrichtsnachbereitung gibt es die Easy Tutor Cloud. Das bedeutet, der Schüler hat im Nachgang immer noch Zugriff auf die bearbeiteten Unterlagen und kann im Nachgang dann nochmal das Ganze wiederholen, üben. Die Tutor gibt es bereits seit 2017, also lange vor Corona, wurde von Massimo Cancellara, Alexander Liebisch und mir ins Leben gerufen. Mein Bruder Massimo gab damals neben seinem Studium auch privat Nachhilfe, und hier in München war die Fahrt immer zeitanspruchsvoll. Das heißt, die Fahrt hat viel länger gedauert als die Nachhilfe an sich. Und da kam er dann auf die Idee, die Nachhilfe zu digitalisieren. Und so haben wir uns dann zu dritt zusammengesetzt und Easy Tutor ins Leben gerufen. Was uns aber wichtig war, ist, dass nicht nur die Nachhilfe digital passiert, sondern eben das ganze Management. Also alles drumherum, die Terminauswahl, die Fachauswahl, die Lehrerauswahl, dass sowohl der Schüler als auch die Eltern eben das Ganze einfach auf einer geschlossenen Plattform in Anspruch nehmen können. Und damals haben wir, wie wahrscheinlich viele Startups, in einem ganz kleinen Büro in einem Keller gestartet, und heute sind wir 40 Mitarbeiter. Aktuell ist Easy Tutor in Deutschland, Österreich und der Schweiz tätig, aber wir haben vor, europaweit zu expandieren. Wir haben auch bereits Tutoren, die zum Beispiel Mathematik auf Englisch unterrichten, also auf einer Fremdsprache. Aber natürlich wird sich dann unsere Produktpalette erweitern, indem wir in anderen Ländern tätig sein werden. Als Elternteil hat man die Möglichkeit, sich bei Easy Tutor als Elternteil zu registrieren oder das Kind registriert sich als Schüler und erhält nach der kostenlosen Registrierung eine Probestunde. Hier hat er die Möglichkeit, einen ersten Lehrer zu testen oder an sich unsere Online-Nachhilfe fürs erste Mal zu testen. Im Nachgang kann man sich ein Paket oder eine weitere Einzelstunde kaufen. Man schließt bei uns kein Abonnement ab. Und nach der Registrierung findet eben die Termin-, Lehrer- und Fachauswahl statt. Es öffnet sich ein Kalender der jeweiligen Lehrer, wo man die Verfügbarkeit einsehen kann. Und der Schüler oder das Elternteil hat die Möglichkeit, zur gewünschten Zeit und zum gewünschten Tag die Nachhilfe zu buchen. Zur Anfangszeit der Pandemie, klar, gab es einen Riesenboom, weil wir sofort helfen konnten. Wir hatten Jahre davor schon die Erfahrung gesammelt und konnten sofort eingreifen und die Kinder und die Eltern vor allem unterstützen, weil dieser Spagat zwischen Beruf und Homeoffice und Homeschooling natürlich enorm war. Wir hatten nur demotivierte Kinder, überforderte Eltern. Es war keine einfache Zeit. Und wir konnten sofort helfen, ganz klar. Aber Fakt ist, wir ersetzen nicht die Schule, sondern wir ergänzen sie. Wenn ein Kind im 45 Minuten Unterricht das nicht verstanden hat, dann hat er die Möglichkeit, nochmal sich extern privat Hilfe zu holen. Und hier ganz wichtig von unserer Seite aus Fokus auf individueller Einzelunterricht, weil das Kind muss genau dort abgeholt werden, wo er seine Probleme hat. Was uns auch sehr, sehr wichtig ist, dass die Motorik nicht verloren geht, dass die Kinder nach wie vor das handschriftliche Schreiben beibehalten. Und hier haben wir eben uns für Wacom entschieden als Partner seit Tag 1. Ja, das klappt super. Wir statten damit unsere Tutoren und unsere Schüler aus. Und sie haben dann eben die Möglichkeit, mit diesem Grafiktablet direkt mit einem Stift zu schreiben. Das fühlt sich für die Kinder wie ein Blatt Papier und ein Stift an. Und ja, es vereinfacht auch den Unterricht.
The next story is about Learn and Go from France. They have developed a learning app called Karaoglu, which has digital handwriting at the core of their software. Whenever we did hackathon at Wacom in the past, apps supporting learning how to write has always been part of the outcome and ideas. Just because it's such an important topic for everyone, where today there is rather small digital support adjusted especially for the early stage of learning.
It is great to have Benoit and his team with us, who are putting really handwriting and digital learning as the core of their value proposition in combination with new technologies like AI. For this, let's look on their details.
So I'm Benoit, founder of Learn and Go. We started Learn and Go around 7 years ago in France, UK, MENA means Middle East, North Africa, in Canada, in the States, Germany, and we have more than 3,500 teachers who are using every day Karaoglu. Beginning in 2010, I was thinking that future will be about writing on device, and people say, no, there is no writing on device. I say, no, you can write on device, it exists, and maybe in coming years, people will use. And in 2013, I had some discussion with some people from Ministry of Education. I said, maybe we can propose something around writing for kids and to help them to better learn. And we started in 2014 to do R&D projects for the graphomotoric skill. Means that it helps kids to better learn how to write. Brain is like a muscle. More you train, more you will like to do. It's like sports. First thing is to help to train the kids to use to write. Then what we do with Karaoglu, we say, okay, what we can do is that to analyze the writing. We do analyze shape, order, and form. And we tell him, okay, this thing is fine with a gauge, which is green when it's fine, with award like a star. And when the judge is red, it means that you have to do it again and to do remediation and compensation. We know that when you not spending, you invest money in training from 3 to 10 years old, €1 invested in training, in education, will save you 8 to 10 euro. So we are working all these things about the learning approach. And we do with AI, so artificial intelligence. And now we do about spelling, okay? Because when I write, for example, you give me some information, I will hear the information, I will write, and I will pronounce. So I know that when I'm writing, I'm pronouncing, I better record, I better learn. Kids use everyday digital. Sometimes you can say that it's too invasive. However, in terms of active learning, it means that you propose a production, kids are doing production, and then you have this feedback on enjoyable application that with awards and give you other exercise. And I think that it's more the fact that you can do it with 20, 25 kids at the same time, but at their own speed. Because every student is unique in terms of brain, of understanding. And it's the key point is about the way how you behave with the kids. It's not the thing that what they have to do, it's that they feel happy. And the key point is about confidence, trust. If there is too much constraint, of course, they won't like it, of course. We start the app, we have different levels. We can start by 3, 4. We won't start before. I would say the good age is about 4 with the graphomotoric skill, the way you will use the pencil, how the grip, is very important to do some exercise. And then until I would say 8, 10. However, for SEND, you can maybe go to 15, 16, whatever, because it's specific exercises done for SEND. So we start by 4, I would say. We want to propose for all the local associations to use this platform in order to integrate migrant, refugee, or asylum speaker to learn French as a speaking language, or German or English, on the way to help them to integrate in our society. The way we write, and if we can communicate and transmit all this way, I think that we better integrate.
Today there are so many apps who are supporting this kind of digital learning, but none of them are putting handwriting as their core of their software. And this is, I think, the exceptional case here. And we are also seeing that in this case, handwriting is supporting the learning and the development of brains of children. Wacom is a technology company. Since 39 years, we are growing with the creative community, and in the last 4 or 5 years, the education market is also picking up this kind of technologies using for education workflows. Our responsibility, but also our goal and mission is to be part of the society and support the society with our value propositions, with our technology, and of course also with the initiatives we are driving together with our partners.
To echo Faik here, we at Wacom, we don't only believe that everyone can be an artist, but we also believe that everyone should get access to equal opportunities in education. And that's why we are here and to share these 5 remarkable stories with you on this stage. And definitely we are continuing to work with them in the future. So from my side, please join us and continue supporting these initiatives and these great visionaries regarding helping hands in education.
We are going to support Helping Hand also in the future with our technologies, with our value propositions, and giving here, in this case, also our contribution back to the society.